All right, we're joined today by head coach Kyle Smith. Thank you for making the time. Pac-12 Coach of the Year, Kyle Smith, and other awards this morning, including Miles Rice, Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, Miles Rice, All Pac-12 First Team, Isaac Jones, All Pac-12 First Team, and Jalen Wells, All Pac-12 Honorable Mention. We'll let Coach give some comments on the upcoming trip to Vegas, and then we'll open it to questions.
Yeah, really excited about this opportunity to go play in this tournament. I think our team has really done a great job of getting their minds right for this. Friday we celebrated our season, although Thursday night wasn't what we wanted, the result, but we reflect on all the good things we've done. Pretty amazing. And then getting the honors we did today was outstanding. Period.
Not to change the mood off of that too quick,
Sure.
but when I went back and watched the broadcast of the UW game the other day, it seemed like Andre was really favoring his shoulder, making passes with his left hand, even like contesting shots with his left hand. How is he doing? Are you guys planning to limit him at all for the tournament coming up?
We'll see how it goes. I mean, he practiced yesterday and looked fine, shot the ball. So I think it's on the mend. But, what hurt was I think first play of the game, he helped on a roller, and so kind of like a stinger. And it was hard. A senior night, I had that group out there. I'm like, Coach Shaw turned to me, he says, he can't lift his arm. I said, I don't care. This is our group. This we're going with. And then finally I said, all right, we got to try to do something else there down the stretch. So I think, by all accounts, it can be okay, but we'll watch it. We'll do what's best for him. And his maturity, though, we know, his leadership is big foundation why we've had such success. So we miss him when he's not on the floor because he's kind of our defensive point guard. But when we're playing our man or zone, his experience really helps there. So I think he'll be fine. But also if he gets hit there, you got to be careful.
Have you gotten an official diagnosis on what the injury is?
I don't know. I think it's just a sore shoulder. That's my official Dr. Smith diagnosis.
Miles, with a little bit of an extended slump from three, actually Cal Stanford, you guys will get on Thursday, was the last time he was making them pretty consistently. Have you noticed a common denominator in terms of getting him right from three, or how's?
No, I haven't. I think more than anything, I think it's we're playing in a different arena in the city as far as playing for a title, have come back home. Different type of pressure that I don't know if we can talk about it all we want about, hey, you're the hunted, not the hunters. And I think there's some of that, and I don't know if there's a better way to get through it than experience it a little bit. And there's real a different pressure. And everyone thinks you're at home. There's an expectation, you're going to win at home. You're going to win at home. It's pretty hard. Late in the season, you'll see those games. Teams like, who did I see? Oh, I can't remember. But just you'll notice it. It's just man, it's just hard. It's hard. Senior night's a lot of emotion, stuff like that. But confident Miles will be fine there. And, it's a long season. He's first year through it. And if he's not fine, it's okay, too. He's going to be fine. He's competing. He's trying to win. And excited, just been excited to be part of his run and our run. It's been really, really awesome.
Speaking of run, I know this has been such a historic season for you and this team in so many ways. If you could describe this season in one word, what would it be and why?
Surreal. It was just because we didn't. The one thing I think I've said this in the press conference. I told our team try and take the heat off and go in the year. I said, look, I know we have enough talent to go to the NCAA tournament, and I still don't like talking this year. And I said, if we don't, it's not official yet, we're not in there yet, but I said, don't, it's on me. So I was like, hey, look, and I had someone tell me this is a true story. And I never thought about it. They go, I don't want you to be the best coach that ever went to the NCAA tournament. And I was like, that was last year. I was like, that's who I am? I'm Phil Mickelson? We're trying to win it. I said, but anyway. So I was like, hey, we got it. So maybe put that pressure on us. And I knew we had a good staff, good situation. I forgot what the question was.
I just said,
it's surreal. It was surreal. So, I did think it was there, but just the journey and there's been moments where man, and it's I say this all the time. I've had more people say hey, you look more relaxed on the sidelines. I said, you know what? I've got a mantra this year, and it must be when you have pretty good players too. I said, it's in God's hands. I said, like, just let go. Because the coach, you want to control everything. It's like, these guys are going to work their way through it, and they have. And that's kept me, loose, per se, to, and just like I said, like, this has been just watching them do it has been awesome. A little bit, like I said, like, maybe that's maturity of me as a coach, that we've done our part. We prepared them. Now we've got a group that just runs with it, and they love each other. And hopefully we can stay in that space and do it and just enjoy these 2 weeks.
Well, speaking of players, I know obviously Miles Rice, Freshman of the Year, you as well, Coach of the Year, some of your players, honorable mentions, first team all Pac-12 as well. What does it mean for the conference to recognize this group as a whole and how special it has been?
I think it was well deserved. I think we were one game out of first place, and if we'd have been able to get one more in there, and then we could have been tied, but it didn't happen. But second place is quite an honor for the Power 5 conference, to say the least. And usually, as I said, like, okay, Coach of the Year, but obviously you have to have good players. And we had 3 all-league guys. It makes coaching a lot easier to have those guys. And Miles, it's a unique thing, because Dan Fitzgerald's a guy told me a long time ago. He goes, when you have a guy sitting out, you always think they're a little better than they are, because they haven't been through the fire, and you got to be cautious with that. Now, remember specifically about Matt Santangelo. And he goes, and sometimes they're better. And that was Miles. And it's like, I knew he was good. Didn't want to put the pressure on him, like, tell everyone he's good. And then he's a little better than I thought. So it's neat to see that. Isaac, I felt really good that he was going to be a tremendous player. And really, when Jalen set foot on campus, I felt really good about those guys. And Andre and everyone else that's done a good job. Oscar, Ruben, those guys are good. So it's neat to see them rewarded. They deserve it. That's about right. 2.5 players for a second class. I don't want half, but honorable mention. An honorable 2 first-team all-league guys. Honorable mention. That's about right if you're contending for the league.
This time of year, you see a lot of coaches tighten up their lineups. They'll run with maybe 7, 8 max. When we get to conference tournament, when we get to the NCAA tournament, are you going to sort of keep with the lineups you've been running, or tighten that up?
I mean, we've been kind of there for a while. I think a little bit, probably since January, and the trickiest one has been getting Isaiah in there a little bit, and he's, I said, like, Jabe's been awesome about his role, and though we've had some, I think we mentioned Andre's been banged up a little bit, so that, that might put more on Jabe and Kamani extra minutes. We'll see how that goes, but I think we'll be playing who we've been playing. I think and the best teams are, I think. And the games, depends on matchup, and you do play 3 games in 3 nights if you're going, so you might have to, there's going to be some guys have probably some team that wins it or whatever, keeps it going, usually has someone's going to have to step up, either, some great individual performance or someone off the bench that helps you. It'll happen. So we'll be ready.
Yeah, and that was going to be sort of my next question, the potential for 3 games in 3 nights. Obviously, these kids are pretty used to playing AAU 4 games, a weekend or whatever, but how do you sort of make sure that you got legs if you do make it to a championship game?
You don't, but you just, because it's just going to be the team that has kind of, it's nice to be older and stronger than other teams. That helps, but that's not us, I don't think necessarily, but we have some good size. And I think the scout on us has been get real physical with us. And I think we've seen that the last 2 games at home. So, and I think, and that sounds funny, but the officials will get to that, like they'll recognize like that, man, we're getting wailed on, and I think when you get these neutral sites, there's just more eyeballs on everything. They're being evaluated and that stuff, and I think but sometimes games that happens will adjust, but that the physicality getting to a third night, it's about who's got the biggest ticker usually that, and I think we're good there. But I'm trying to think if any team has a significant advantage in that in the league. Maybe Arizona's depth is pretty good. The one that comes to mind, and they won it.
So this time next week, we're going to be talking about a different tournament. But
I like how you're talking.
Got
him right.
What's the sort of the message to the team right before you head off to get on the plane later this afternoon?
It's one at a time. But this tournament, we're just talking about, hey, these 2 weeks we got to enjoy them. There's so many distractions. There's going to be so much stuff. We'll talk about handling this with grace and dignity on these awards. They're deserved, and being humble, and they are. I'm not worried about it. But let's not lose sight of the thing. There's just a chance to make memories of, you don't want to blow it. You may not win, but you want to make sure you have the best chance to do that. And, reach into what the women's team did last year, and how I just watched them from far and how impressed, and just they had a moment, and it's made their program great. So we have our chance to do that, and it should be fun. It should be all fun, joy, trying to keep the joy. And our practice has been good that way, and hopefully we can do that. Easier said than done.
With Cal and Stanford, who you'll get on Thursday, obviously, what do you remember about playing those guys, and what do you have to do to, get those guys again?
I think both teams are, they're good to me. They're good. Cal is, they both have centers they can play through, which is very unique. And so, you got Reno, and that's what we're looking at. Both have centers. They play a lot of 5-out stuff. They're a little different players. Reno's a little more of a scorer, and Dawes is more of a passer and playmaker. He can score. He's just good, and he's a dominant rebounder. And so that's kind of their – and then you got Tyson, who's very elite, perimeter player who's awesome. And then they got a little more quickness in the backcourt, Cal, and I think Stanford's depth's a little better in their offense, their shooting, and Carlisle you got to deal with. He's, he'll look like Tyson next year, I imagine. In that sense, like he's that kind of talent. So they're very similar to me, but Stanford's going to can get really high octane, and then Cal has an individual talent that can take over a game, which happened to us when we lost to them there. So we were fortunate to get Stanford at home. We're down, we get down 10 second half, something like that. So it's just, I think the league, top to bottom, that's been the thing this league. I mean, the winning team lost 5 times. They're very talented, and they're talked about being a 1 seed in a Final Four run. And I think they're all that. So people need to recognize our league must be pretty good. And it feels like there's a lot of NBA talents on every team. So it's like, I know we don't have a league anymore, but the league is good. That's what I gotta say. You can't have it both ways. Arizona's great, but they lost 5 times. So it's the league is good. So anyone can win it. Anyone can, and you got a guy like I said, like Reno can get 30. He could go for 30. Dawes can go 20 and 10, 20 and 15, and Tyson can go has had 30-point games. So and Carlisle had 30 on us. So not to mention Brandon Angel. So there's just it's gonna be fun. They're both good. They're gonna be hard to guard, and they'll be coming in. It's hard when you have the bye, and I haven't had the bye a lot. There's the first game's really challenging. They're coming out. That team's coming in with momentum, energy, enthusiasm, and it's hard the first half, and you don't know where you're at. And hopefully you can get that spot. And then it's more that second night where if you're playing a team that's on their third night, your second night, then it becomes really hard, I think, for the teams that don't get a bye. But that's a tough one. And you don't know which way it's going to go.
You mentioned just how physical teams have gotten with you guys on defense. I might be going crazy, but it seems like they've been pretty aggressive in doubling Isaac when he gets it on the block. What have you made of just like how he handles that pressure and double teams, and how can you guys try to?
I think he was awesome. He was 20 and 10 last game. We didn't give it to him enough. That was my frustration with. A little bit. I don't know if that was emotional senior night or whatever. I just thought the first 5 minutes, we played better the first media, but I said, we got to settle down. I thought we took a lot of shots. The ball needs to get to Isaac because he's very unselfish. If he feels a double team, he's going to get rid of it. And he got to the foul line 8 times. We know that he didn't shoot that. That was big and contribute. Not, he needs to make free throws. He knows that. But it's the physicality was they teed off on Ruben, and it was poorly officiated. I don't know if I'm getting in trouble for that, but it was, and I didn't realize I was proud of our guys because they didn't whine about it. Usually, if your babies are whining, you're gonna be like, and they weren't at all. And until I saw the film, I said, oh wow, and that's been a common thing. I think that's UCLA's deal too. They're gonna try to come beat you up, and that's what it is. But they officiated it that way, and that's fine. That's the trade-off. Like you're going to be really physical. It should be in bonus, and then they got to make a decision how they want to go. But they just kind of went no hold. 1989, what I remember, Coach. So there's no TV games, and it's just like the refs are like, it's on tonight, and that's kind of his last game. It's like, okay, we got to adjust to that. So we'll see.
After that loss to UW, how do you feel like your team regrouped mentally and physically?
Awesome. When we went bowling Sunday, it was terrific. Yeah, I bowled a 149, in case you were asking, and no, you weren't. I felt really good about that. But we Friday, like I said, I was purposefully like we usually come in there and watch film and kind of recap about 30 minutes, and first 15 minutes was going down the line with our guys and telling them how appreciative I was of what they'd done this year, and we just celebrated that. Then we watched a little film and got it straight. But it was just like got to keep things in perspective. And enjoy it. Like I do think there's, hopefully it's lucky that game was Thursday, and I don't like the long week between games, but the reset should be easier mentally, I think. So hopefully Zeppos came through. I think it did.
There's been some players that obviously have experience playing in the Pac-12 tournament, but have some players that haven't before. How do you feel like you can kind of prepare them for that, if at all?
It's great. I'm going to work that into my talk today because I hadn't thought of that. It's just, we talk Las Vegas. They prep them on the gambling, so if you haven't been there, it's a circus. It really is. And I was just talking to my wife. I was like, I hold myself up in the hotel because you just walk through the lobby, you're gonna see people, and I'm too friendly, and I'm gonna stop and say hi. And I've been at it too long, 30+ years of doing this. You're gonna see people that, and that's just part of the deal. And it's like, man, it wears you out, and it wears me out anyway. And players are not immune to it, and families coming in there, but everyone's going through it in the tournament. And the team that can kind of tune that out will be good. But it'll be good prep, neutral game, attention. We got another tournament coming, so hopefully we handle it well and play well.